Hello everyone and welcome! The time has finally come to put in the final puzzle piece of Mount Targon. Today we are going to talk about Taric and his role on Runeterra. Years ago, Taric was a Demacian warrior trained so that he could one day become a guardian of Demacia. He was meant to protect his king and country, but he never felt the need to limit whom he should protect. Be it an ideal, a price of art, or a stranger's life. Each could be considered worthy, and each could be seen as beautiful. Most of his fellow soldiers were focused on the material principles of battle. But Taric, naturally mastering his weapon, he never really saw the point in endless contests for flags and crowns. Instead, he was drawn to the fragile wonders that give life meaning. He chose to dedicate himself to understanding of love, beauty, and life. Taric was admired by everyone. Using his charm, he was able to go through most obstacles. On the rare occasion it failed, his skill with hammer and sword fixed all problems. Taric often missed his combat trainings, parade drills, and regimental meetings, just so he could wander into the woods looking for rare animals, listen to bards' ballads, or to ride horses while observing the night sky. He knew that in his own way, he was training with the same dedication as his fellow Demacians. But it wasn't seen that way by his superiors. They all saw Taric as a charming rogue, but his longtime friend Garen recognized him for what he truly was. A man with the potential to become one of Demacia's greatest heroes. The fact that Taric never cared about his destiny as well as his country enraged Garen. Eventually, even Garen wasn't able to protect him, and Taric's military career started to crumble. The motion after the motion pushed Taric further from Demacia's heart, until at last he found himself commanding a small squad of lowly recruits assigned to guard a ruined fortress out in the wilds. After weeks spent standing in the rain and mud as ordered, and with no threat evident, Taric decided to let his men sleep while he wandered to a nearby temple to learn about its cyclopean architecture. When Taric returned the next morning, he found the corpses of his men scattered around. They were butchered in their sleep by the predators of the void. Taric returned to Demacia in shame. He was stripped of his rank, and he was sentenced by Garen to endure the Crown of Stone, a ceremony that demanded a dishonored soldier to ascend Mount Targon. To most, this was also known as a death sentence. Most of those dishonored soldiers used it as a chance to flee and live new lives in exile. But Taric decided to face the sentence, and he marched to Mount Targon. The mountain nearly claimed him. He had to face his past mistakes and the ghosts of his dead men. But after all of that, Taric arrived at the summit. There he faced his final challenge. The mountain showed him horrifying visions of realities that could come true. He saw the infinite fates of all those who had no one to protect them in their time of crisis. He saw the Alabaster Library in flames, and still he dashed into the Inferno to save a poetry. He screamed in rage as the Frostguard ran the last dream stack off a blind cliff. Then he leapt into the abyss in a desperate attempt to save it. Then he appeared before the ebon gates of Noxus. Taric dropped to his knees at the sight of Garen's shattered body, chained above as a warning. There was an entire army of Noxian warriors between them. Yet, Taric raised his shield and pushed his way through to claim Garen from the gates. After that, The sky cleared, and he returned back to the peak of Mount Targon. But he was not alone. Before him stood something wearing a shape of a man, its features composed from the pinpoints of stars. Taric was struck by the odd familiarity of its nature. It spoke words Taric couldn't recognize, but he still understood them. It called itself the Protector. The Protector spoke of the truths Taric had known his entire life, and of the mantle that he had unknowingly been preparing for with every decision that brought him to the top of the mountain. Then it shared its own powers with Taric and turned him into its avatar. As the Protector's whispers faded, Taric received a final warning. He would stand as the shield of Valoran, but crashing against him would be a wave of howling madness, an ocean of gnashing teeth, intent on consuming all, a squalid horror born of the void. That is how Taric became the shield of Valoran. Following the duty of the avatar of the Protector, one day Taric appeared in the middle of a raging war. On one side, an army of Noxus, on the other side, his fellow Demacians. Unfortunately, his former countrymen now saw him as something between a traitor and a wrathful god. Taric pushed aside the warriors of both armies until he finally saw what he came for. Its beauty rang out like a single crystal bell. It was the last flower of its kind. The two opposing commanders paused in their combat as Taric approached. They turned to him, suddenly allied in their outrage at his intrusion. Taric stood at the very eye of two armies. For many, this would be their final moment, but unlike every single soldier around Taric, he knows what he fights for. And that is the full story of Taric, the Shield of Valoran. Now that we have all the pieces of Mount Targon's lore, I am probably going to put it all together and make a video explaining everything that happened. As always, if you like this video, feel free to rate it, comment below the next champion that you want me to cover, follow me on all the social media, and as always, thank you come again! So for those of you that don't follow me on either Facebook or Twitter, you may not know that I finally got a better internet and I can now stream. Now, I don't know when I'll stream, and I'll probably announce it on either Twitter or Facebook, so you better follow me there. But when I do, I still don't know what I'll stream, I still don't know when I'm streaming, but I finally can, so I'll try to do that. I also recorded one more Hextech opening, and for the reason that's in the video, that's going to be definitely the last opening. And that's it, and I'm signing out.